Now, first let's get the content of document. Thereafter, it tell you who makes, what is the purpose. We'll learn that. So first, the purpose of this document charter. So sorry, contents. These are the contents. What is the project purpose or justification? That's mentioned. Why are we doing the project? Objectives. Yesterday we spoke. Objective is the success criteria of the project. All right, we define them in initiation. Meeting objectives is one of the characteristic of project. So these objectives, we clearly define them here in the chart. Then high level requirements. Requirements is there, but point to be noted, high level. Please note, in charter, nothing is detailed. Everything is high level. Because when are we making it, get the timing as well, it's very early in the project, during initiation itself. I would say this is the first document that you make in a project, within the project life cycle. Just in case you wonder, well, we made business case also, didn't we? So that was prior to that. Okay. So what I meant is, as part of the project life cycle, yesterday I told you that's pre-project, creation of business cases before initiation of the project. So I would call it as pre-project, hence not counting. So if we talk about from where the project initiates, that's where my project life cycle begins. So this would be document number 1 by the way. Okay, let's proceed with other contents. High level requirements, so it's like in bullet points. The next, deliverables, but again, what's the term? Key deliverables. We don't mention a laundry list of deliverables here, just a few major ones. Likewise, we have the timelines and cost also, but again, ballpark figures, rough figures this moment, not detail. Detail schedule, detail budget would be made much later in planning stages. So you could have some ballpark figures. Maybe expressed as range also, like 8 to 10 months the project would last. It's difficult to have a precise figure here. Then risk, assumptions, constraints can also be there. Again, all high level again. More, we are doing no risk management this moment. Please note, risk identification is a part of planning. We'll study that later. But some major risks that might be known, it's a good idea to capture them here. Similar with any major constraints, assumptions that might be known. It's a good idea to have it in the charter so these are not lost. We'll identify many more and during the planning stages. Even this, who are the key stakeholders? Again, key. We don't want the listing of all stakeholders. Those who have higher stake, major stake in the project, so few of the key stakeholders. We can also specify approval requirements, who approves what in the project, sponsor would approve the budget, the timelines, the scope, or there is somebody else in particular in the project that needs to approve. Such could also be documented. And assign project manager, look at that. Who is going to be the project manager? Name of the project manager is very much mentioned. So point to be taken. How about other team members? Do we mention the name of the team members in the charter? No, it's too early, let me tell you. Forget the names. We do not even know how many people or what type of people we need. We are yet to estimate them. That we will in the planning stages. So just the project manager is now identified and assigned to the project manager. Name is also written. And last thing, okay, I said no team, but one exception to this rule. One of the optional contents of charter is, one of the optional contents I said, okay, write it here. One of the optional contents is pre-assigned team member. I'll explain what does the term mean. Pre-assigned team member. Okay, so I stick to my point. We do not have team members mentioned this moment. Okay, yeah, pre-assigned team members. What is pre-assigned team member? Let's look at it this way. Say for some reason, I know some resource, some scarce resource is needed in my project. I'll cite examples. Say there were a couple of resources who were involved in the proposal making stage before we initiated the project. Okay, so some people were involved in proposal making, a couple of months ago. Later, the contract was awarded to us. We are now initiating. Now, it's a good idea to get those two team members who were involved in the proposal making stage. And why? Because they already have a fair idea about the project. I hope I make sense on this one. So then in that case, you can write Bob, okay, Bob and David, who were involved in the proposal making stage. I don't write all of it. Will be opted in the project. So that's an example of pre-assigned team member. Okay. So I repeat again, you don't identify general team members here. for any specific reason, if some resource, scarce resource is required in the project that's known this moment itself, could be mentioned under this head, pre-assigned team member, which is an optional heading in the chart. So let me go back. Okay, not this. So we were looking at the content. So that's all about it. And last thing, assigned project sponsor. In fact, who is going to approve this document? None other than sponsor. Okay. Who will create, I'll come to, but first we understood is sponsored in a project who approves the charter. Now we'll come to who is the sponsor. What does a sponsor do in a project? I'll come to that as well. Before that, I hope you got the contents of charter. So these are the things charter would include. So if you check, it has kind of all high level information, see, all critical information, but everything is high level. Now let's talk about the role sponsor. Feel free to ask me a question whenever you have one. Okay, just checking the chat window. None. Okay. Sponsor. So what? Sponsor is somebody from senior management at a level higher than project manager, very clearly. So in any project, who does the project manager report to? To the sponsor. All right, by default. So we say project manager is like mid-level management. Okay, so sponsor would be at a level higher than project manager always. And if we were to talk about okay, detailed responsibility later, in one line I would say what does the sponsor do is sponsor provides overall direction to the project. That's what I would say, overall direction. And if I have to count the detailed responsibilities, so watch, these are some. Arranging funds for the project. Who is going to arrange funds for the project? That's none other than sponsor. More, all major decisions would be with the sponsor. Small decisions and all could be left to the project manager to make, but major decisions should go to the sponsor. All major approvals will lie with the sponsor. Approving the budget, the timeline, scope, everything, sponsor is required to approve. All right. More, sponsor would participate in major reviews in the project. I said major, not in your weekly team meetings you hold with your team. Major reviews such as like end of phase, at milestones and all. So sponsor would participate in that. More, handle escalations from the project manager. Please note, sponsor is the single point of escalation for the project manager. If there's any issue, anything that the PM is not able to resolve with the given authority, who does the PM go to? None other than sponsor. And the sponsor has to resolve them. So in a way, sponsor backs the project manager. It has to back the project manager as well. Well, so these I would say are the major responsibilities of a sponsor. I hope you got that. Now, sponsor would not come down for day-to-day management of the project. So that the project manager does. Sponsor is available for high-level things. So now think about this. If the project forms a part of a program or a portfolio, then please note the program manager, portfolio managers, these can well act as sponsor of the project. By default, if the program manager will become the sponsor of the project. But in cases where the project doesn't form a part of a program or portfolio, I hope you understand that project could stand alone also. Need not be that always a project has to be a part of a program or portfolio. Yeah. So in such cases, then somebody from senior management would be, assigned a sponsor to the project. So that's the role. Okay, sponsor. Hope we got that. Now let's come back. So who approves this document? None other than sponsor. Now next question, who would create the document? That could be an exam question. Who is going to make this document? All right, I tell you, as per PMBOK latest edition, these are the possibilities on who could create. The possibilities are, right, 1, project manager is one possibility. 2, sponsor is second possibility. 3rd, customer. Okay, say I'll write first PMO, project management office assignment, and last customer. So watch. As per latest edition of PMBOK, these are 4 possibilities for charter treatment. See, we are saying possibilities because there isn't a single answer to that. It varies from context to context. So this is what PMBOK PMI has observed, and that's what they report. These are all possibilities. And it could well be a joint effort as well. Like project manager, sponsor together putting up the charter. That can always happen. Right? So remember, from the exam point of view, these are possibilities. But PMBOK says something here. Agree, these are possibilities, but PMBOK says project manager should be preferably a part of charter creation. PM should participate, ideally. Meaning the other side is also possible. It could well happen that PM was not involved. Say sponsor created the charter and handed it over to the PM. That can happen, but that's not preferable. Preferably, PM should be a part of charter creation. So hope we are good this far. So we understood the contents of charter, who creates and who approves. Now let me ask you a question. Take a guess. How big a document should this be? Can you guess? Say in terms of number of pages. How many pages it should be? I would like to see some of your responses. How big a document should this be? If somebody creates one, then let me know what you do. Okay. Somebody says 1 to 2 pages. Somebody says 25 pages. All right. Other views. I would love to see some more views. Okay. Max 2 pages. All right. Okay, good. Prem says 1 page. All right. All right, very good. So the right answer is actually 1 pager. That's the saying. I mean, if you're making 2 to 3, don't be surprised. It's okay. It's okay. But the point is, for sure, it's not a 15, 20 page document. Okay. The saying goes as 1 pager. And why? Because look, there are a lot of things you see on the slide, but then everything is high level note. Nothing is detailed. So all of this can be contained in a page or two. Requirement also in bullet points, 3, 4, 5 bullet points you finish it off. Everything is high level here. So that's why it would not be a big one. Okay, somebody said depends on project size. Okay, you do a multi-billion-dollar project, huge, with 500 people in the project working maybe. Even then your charter should be a couple of pages. I surprise you. Why? Because project may be large, but then nothing is detailed in charter. We provide everything which is high level. Don't bother. There are many other documents you're going to create that would be detailed. Charter is meant to be a high level document. So irrespective of the fact that it's a huge project, still charter would be a couple of pages or so. So that's the generally accepted fact about charter. Okay. Somebody says major points to capture, details not required here. Absolutely. That's the idea. So you understood the size of the document as well. Next thing, now let's understand what is the purpose of project charter. $1 million question. And this would be asked in the exam for sure. All right. So it's written here. I'll show you. These are the two purposes of charter. So one, to authorize the project. Okay. So that means, look at it this way. The sponsor, once it approves, signs off the charter. That means the project is sanctioned. The project is authorized. It can kickstart, begin. This is what I mean as authorize the project. So that's purpose number one. So in other words, without the charter signed, the project doesn't exist. I mean, it cannot be executed. That's what it means. So this is purpose number one. Look at the second one also. It says authorize the project manager for the project. So the second point means without charter, PM doesn't have the authority to seek resources, deploy them, and conduct any work. So only when the charter is given, then only PM would have the authority to get, deploy resources, and conduct any work. That's what it means. So I would summarize in both the statements. One, it authorizes the project. Second, it authorizes the project manager for the project. Also, watch the way it works is, the sponsor is going to formally issue the charter to PM. Okay, and once by means of doing that, it is empowering the project manager or authorizing the project manager. View it that way. All right, so this is all about charter. So I told you charter, what it contains, how big a document it is, what is the purpose of this document, who creates and who approves, and when is it made. That's in initiation, the very first thing you do in initiation. Hope we are good with this much. Now, next thing, we are going to have a look at the inputs, tools, and techniques and output. Watch, that's what I told you a while ago. For every process in PMBOK, there are some suggested inputs, some tools and techniques, and some output. We are going to see them. But point to be noted, now PMBOK clearly says that doesn't mean all of these you're going to use in a given context, or these tools, or produce all of these output. That would depend. So the idea is subset of these input, tool, and technique and output would apply in a given context. So mentioning these here means these are the likely ones, seen to be used. Okay, that's what PMBOK reports. So let's have a look at some inputs now. So one of the inputs is business document. I hope you remember the term business document we discussed yesterday. Like business case, benefit management plan, these are business documents. Okay, we know that, and it's already developed so we can use it. But now question is, how is it relevant? Okay, I'll tell you, much relevant. Look at the contents of charter. We just studied, these things are there. Now watch, many of these information needed for your charter is very much contained already in the business case. Let me tell you why we are doing the project, the justification, that's very much there in the business case. The budget, we have written that in the business case. What are some risks in the project, that's written. Okay, maybe some requirements high level as well. So many of these information already there in the business case. Please note something here. When we are saying that, say, the PM is making the charter here, doesn't mean that PM is going to discover all of this information now for the first time. No, much of this information already exists. It exists in multiple documents or maybe in the heads of certain stakeholders. Chartering is more about collating all of this information from various places for a formal agreement. All right, that's the best way of looking at it. Okay, so you could appreciate now how business case is one of the inputs. Quickly and look at other inputs, tools and techniques and outputs. Let's have a look. Other inputs, agreement. Here agreement to mean contract. Again, I hope you understand, a project may be done for internally or could be for an external client also. All right. So when you're doing a project for an external customer, so there'll be a contract which would be already signed with the customer. So even that is serving as another input. And how is it relevant? Oh, yeah, much relevant. In fact, a lot of information for your charter already there in the contract. Like what is the scope, what is the timeline, cost, constraints. Many such information may be already there in the contract or agreement. So you need to fetch it from there. And look at this, these two terms we studied yesterday, enterprise environmental factor and organizational processes, said these two. I told you these are input to every planning and initiation process. They would influence many of the processes in planning and initiation, directly or indirectly. Yeah. By default, you will see there's some pattern. Like OPA, what is the template of charter in my organization? I mean, may not be the one I did show you. Or one part of OPA, if you remember OPA, let me remind you, it has project-wide policies, procedures, templates, and all historic data. So template of charter can pick up from there. Or maybe you may pick up the charter of a previous similar project and make amendments to that to make it good for this project. So that's how these are some of the inputs. A quick look at the tools and techniques employed here. Okay, somebody saying something. Let me check the chat window. Oh, somebody is not able to see the presentation and log out of smartphone. Yeah, Nikunj, try that. Please do it from PC. Doing it from laptop, desktop is better than a cell phone. Just try that. All right. Okay, coming back. So we're looking at the tools and techniques here. Expert judgment. Look, that's a very general technique, evident from the name itself. You would see this being listed in some 24 process out of 49. Okay, so let's understand this technique for once and all. So expert judgment is somebody with specialized knowledge or experience in a particular domain can provide expert judgment. Like sources of expert judgment would be subject matter experts, key stakeholders, a consultant, a consulting firm. These are sources for expert judgment. And watch out, during the course of a project, PM would seek expert judgment from people pertaining to various aspects. Somebody saying something? Okay. On various aspects. In many processes you'd be saying, including here also. Like, okay, what to have as objective of the project? The PM could take judgment of certain team members, certain stakeholders and all. And for that matter, even other contents, not just about the objective. Okay. To help identify what are some risks, what would be some assumptions, constraints and all, judgment could be taken of people. So that's how it's a relevant tool here. Now come to more tools and techniques. Look at this. Data gathering technique. So one thing to learn is the terminologies in PMBOK. Okay, so that part, data gathering technique. Look at this. Data gathering technique is actually not a single technique. It's a bunch of techniques. 1 dozen techniques are there, given a common name, data gathering. Long list is there. That list is contained. We will be studying them elsewhere also. Like counting a few data gathering techniques. Couple of them written here: brainstorming, interviews, focus groups, surveys. Yes, these are some example of data gathering techniques, and there are more also. So, and these are used as tools to, again, 2 dozen process you will see. Now let's understand a couple of them employed here. Brainstorming is one of the data gathering techniques. So I'm sure many of you would have come across this. It's a very commonly used technique, brainstorming. It's an idea generation session. How do you do a brainstorming? You call your team, stakeholders, and hold a brainstorming session wherein you generate ideas. So it could be done for anything: to solve a problem, to find out root causes, to generate ideas, to identify risk, and so on. It has many, many, many applications. All right. So how is it helpful here? Okay. Now to put up the charter, maybe project manager, maybe somebody from PMO, all right, maybe the sponsor also, could be certain other people also. They get together, hold a brainstorming session, and these sessions they could discuss the contents of charter, what to set as objective, what our key deliverables are, what can we think of, any assumptions, constraints, and all these could be discussed in brainstorming and recorded in the charter. So makes sense. Even interviews is another data gathering technique. Interviews, from the name is obvious. Interview is go reach out to pre-qualified stakeholders and ask questions. Interview done for many, many reasons. Again, it could be one-to-one interview, or it could involve multiple interviews or multiple interviewers also. All right. And here relevance again, say PM alone sitting and making the charter. Fair enough. But for certain contents of charter, it may go interview whom? The sponsor of the project, maybe the customer. It could interview another project manager who did a similar project in the past, and so on. So these general data gathering techniques could be employed to gather information for the charter. Then moving on, another tool and technique group, again you will see so many times, interpersonal skills. Watch out, this is not a single technique. So there are many given this name, which is interpersonal skills, or also termed as soft skills, we say. Long list we have: conflict management, facilitation, couple of them written here. There are many others: active listening, communication, consensus building, yeah, and more. These are known as interpersonal skills, soft skills. Okay, how's it relevant? Conflict management. Yeah, so while putting up the charter, say multiple people involved. Now there could be differences among stakeholders around anything, or around what to set as objective, what should be the timelines, and other aspects also. So PM would use conflict management to address any such conflicts among stakeholders. Now facilitation is again a very general interpersonal skill to moderate brainstorming sessions, to moderate meetings as well, which is another tool and technique here. PM would use or applies facilitation skills to basically lead these sessions to closure. Fruitful results come out of that. So facilitation is a very general skill that can be used. So these are known as interpersonal skills. They're used everywhere, including here. So if you look at the tools and techniques, we don't really have some strong, hard tools as such. These are very general techniques that are employed in many processes. And coming to the outputs of the process, the obvious one is project charter, which is the document that authorizes the project. And another possible output is an assumptions log is now set up to capture a major initial assumptions known this moment. And we'll be maintaining this one all through the project. Many more assumptions will be identified. We'll be capturing all assumptions here. So this is all about develop project charter process. So I pause for a while. Are we good this far? Any questions? Let me know. Any questions? Okay, somebody asked something. Yeah, I'm finding some people facing issue in viewing. I can't see anything. Not here. I mean from PC. Hmm, I'm good. So I don't know how could I resolve this. Nikunj, if you are by any chance able to hear me, everybody else is able to hear and see. Why are you facing that issue? I'm not sure. Hmm.
Hello.
Yes, who is this, please?
Sir, this is Nikunj here.
Nikunj.
Just able to view from my smartphone when I'm trying to log in through PC. I can't see the presentation, can't even hear anything.
So you logged in, right?
I've,
So maybe
yes, I've logged in.
I don't know. Then why is it happening? How about disconnecting from the smartphone? Will that help? But two connections also should be there.
Then,
Mm,
yeah, because then again, if I disconnect from smartphone, then again I'll have to.
no, unfortunately, I cannot. How do I solve this issue now? Not able to understand. Some trial and error, maybe disconnecting. Anyone has some suggestion would be great. What could be possible problem here? Ah, unable to hear or see also. Restart the PC, somebody says. Nikunj,
I'll do that.
yeah, just try that and refresh the network. Maybe that solves the problem. I'm also
Okay.
not a very
Okay.
technical guy, actually. I don't.
Okay, sir.
Okay, just try that
Fine.
and see. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the meantime, we'll continue. Any questions this far? Are we good? We discussed one of the process, develop project charter. Okay. Now, let's look at a few techniques which are used for cost benefit analysis. We call them as cost benefit analysis techniques.